Pilipili best of 5 to determine who qualifies and who has to try again on Saturday. In the bottom right of Romanticide, it is the Teal Zerg Alpha X's Starkiller. In the top left, as the blue Protoss, it is Pilipili, who is teamless, I guess. I don't know, maybe he's not wearing his clan tag, I don't know. For those of you unfamiliar with Pilipili, he is a older player, because everyone who's played Starcraft is old at this point, alright, let's be real. There's not really a whole lot of super fresh blood. Even Rainey's been playing for 4 or 5 years. But anyways, Pilipili at one point was also a guy who was like, he could be the next one of the top 4. Alright, if the NA scene is like the 7 from the boys, and like when one person goes, another person comes in or whatever, like maybe Pilipili could have been Starlight, maybe, but it's from a combination of lacking that whole, like, am I really going to be a pro gamer, or do I want to be more semi-pro? Do I really love StarCraft, or do I sometimes get really frustrated by it? You never really got there, but there's definitely times where Pilipili was, like, inarguably going to qualify, inarguably going to be one of the higher placing North American players in a North American tournament. And he was tackling some of the Korean, well, the Europeans, I'd say, and I guess he would have maybe taken down some Koreans, but, like, in tournaments I didn't really pay attention to, because, well, he doesn't really cross over to Korea that often. But anywho, very good player is what I'm getting at. Very good player, but also has recently just fallen off. Where, like, BioIce and Starkiller never really had a moment where they were, like, in the spotlight, and then, you know, they were like, oh, I'm going to get a job, you know, kind of like Jon Snow. We do have a lot of players who did have their time in the spotlight, and then did go on to, you know, real-life things, basically. Which, I know it wasn't really accurate, but whatever. They went on to different things in StarCraft. Jon Snow became Job Snow, and even though he plays at a pretty high level still, there's always that, like, okay, how much are you putting into this? Semper, literally a lawyer, big fancy lawyer guy. Can't put so much time on a StarCraft anymore. Pilipili also basically retired in the way that only StarCraft, like, the way retirement really only means retirement, which is that he kind of just, like, fell off for a while. Came back, oh, I don't know, like a year ago at this point? Year plus, I don't know. And has really been kicking butt, but just not as much of like a, ooh, is he the next best blank, you know? He's actually just damn solid and probably qualifies today. Especially because he has Starkiller's previous best of to look at and watch. So at the very least, Pilipili shouldn't be losing to anything we saw in the first series. That's the 50 Ling Hydra bust. The drones, I should say. And there's the Nidus Worm, and there's the Mutas hidden somewhere, right? He should be pretty on point about all of those, and if he isn't, if he didn't watch that series, well, that's on him. That was free information. But I think everyone knows what Starkiller is like, so he's already going to be a little paranoid. Now the question is he going to be paranoid of the right things? Starkiller is going up to a very fast lair in an evolution chamber, actually. Which is, Adept could scout. It does want to scout. I mean, it's getting drones, but I think it wants to scout. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, it's actually a really cool move from Starkiller. He doesn't stop the Adept from scouting the evolution chamber, and obviously the lair's already scouted, but Starkiller actually, A, wanted to surround on the Adept, and B, wanted to stop the Adept from scouting, so he, like, moved his lings to stop the Adept's motion. That was cool. Didn't work, though. So, fast +1 here, and then I gotta imagine go into a... Well, I mean, I'm going to say Aspire, because it was a fairly fast lair, but yeah, we'll see. Pilipili has opened up with a Stargate, one heck of a wall. Shield battery included just right from the get-go. And only if... Oh, no, no gases, I should say. Oh, huh. Well, you usually get gases around 3:30 with the Stargate opener, but... Actually prioritizing gateways. Not just 1 extra gateway, but 3 extra gateways. I think that is defensively minded. And he's not going to build... I mean, sometimes you'll see this when they build up to like 6 or 7 adepts and they run across the map, get a surprise adept attack, but I think this might be more defensively minded. I guess in a way, offense is defense, right? But we'll see what he does. Oh, it's a Nidus Worm. Alright, I was way off. So Nidus Worm with +1 melee. I gotta admit, I don't know this build too much. Okay, so it is going to hit roughly well timed. And it is going to be effective against a guy going for +1 air range, which I definitely didn't expect. I mean, he's not gotten a second Stargate. Huh. Oracle scouts the third base, sees an okay number of drones. He's actually, Starkiller's kind of like mixed and matched all of his drones. A very low drone count overall, 33, but sometimes that's difficult to tell. I mean, what if 7 more drones are being rallied into this third right now? Most importantly, I'm gonna have to say, like, if Pilipili has had this build done to him, he would be figuring things out, but if this is new, then this could be very bad. Pilipili going for 2 additional Stargates doesn't really help him that much against Lings. I mean, they might help against the Queens, but I think gotta abandon the third base. Abandon it entirely. The Adept's gonna be surrounded if he's not careful, and he's gonna be surrounded by +1 units. I mean, it does actually not look that bad right now. There should be more Lings. Should be a lot more Lings. I understand why Pilipili's sticking around, but shouldn't this be a lot stronger? Starkiller's Lings finally being pumped out by this Nidus Worm. It feels like it took forever, though. Alright, that's actually not so bad, then. I was envisioning, you know, the 6 Adepts dying and then 3 more warped in, dying themselves, and well, this actually is a lot more of a long process. This is a longer siege than I thought. So Pilipili keeps his third up. I mean, it's not gonna mine, but keeps it up. Gonna have fast warp-ins, gonna have shield batteries. And eventually he's gonna have a lot of Phoenix with +1, which I kind of threw out there is like, well, I guess they could up against the Queens, under the impression that the Lings would be the real danger, but with the amount of Adepts he also has, he now has the direct counter to Starkiller. Adepts and Phoenix against Ling Queen. What does Starkiller even do from here? A couple of spine crawlers are cute. Pilipili is playing very careful. He doesn't want to dive in before there's enough Phoenix to really clean everything up. And I like that patience. With 3 more Phoenix and having +1 done, I think he can do it now. He's got 11 Phoenix. Oh, that's exactly what he was waiting for. All the Queens get picked up. Alright, one doesn't get picked up, but enough Queens get picked up. So they're not adding anything. And they're still dying because there are just that many Phoenix. The overcharged shield battery helping with the Adepts against the Lings, and the Banelings form, and they're going to crash into those Adepts pretty well. Last minute split tries to hold on, but those Lings and Banelings, that's it. Good use of those Banelings on shield batteries, I must say. The last second trying to do something important, but he has so many units to deal with. He still has a very powerful, productive Pilipili, building from 3 gateways with a bunch of Phoenix that actually at this point could help out against the Lings. There are that many Phoenix. Oracle is being made too, instead of having to continually warp around on the ground, and while some probes finally went down, Pilipili is right now doubling the supply of his opponent, and this was not at all scary, really. It didn't feel like it was scary at all. Damn. I feel like if those Lings, I mean, had been 10 seconds faster, maybe they don't go through the Nidus Room, they actually just come across the map, I don't know, but like, that was not enough of a jump on Pilipili to work. And, well, Starkiller has shown us some pretty long games previously, so he's not going to tap out yet, but he is definitely dead. 110%. A 110%. I keep saying that. The last-ditch Ling Baneling attack. Can't even afford that many Banelings. He is supply blocked at 44 out of 42. Oh, Pilipili was a bro and unsupply blocked him. Baneling's not even able to take out those Zealots. And that is that. That is that! Starkiller! There, GG. He's very persistent. He's got a lot of heart. He's like, no, I can make this work. And for some cheeses, that is absolutely correct. Cheese doesn't work, cheese again. All in doesn't work, all in again. It hasn't really been the case so far for Starkiller. He's not gotten the surprise, aha, gotcha. When it comes to all-inning again.
Resubscription received. Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
Thank you, Weissa, for the 3-month resub. Yay, Starcraft. Huzzah! Happy days. Second game's gonna be on Pillars of Gold. Pilipili having a pretty perfect response against what turned out to be a very not lethal Landis Worm. You're thinking of Star-Lord. Star-Lord is Pig's Cheese account. All right, game 2 is here. You got Pillars of Gold in the bottom left, unsuccessfully Night Swarming. He is Starkiller. In the top right, as the blue Protoss, he is Pilipili.
Twitch Prime
apparently still
received. Thank you for appeasing.
Still a very strong contender in the NA scene. Thank you, Ron Baker, 900,000. Nailed it. So Starkiller is going for a early pool. Oh, this is wait. No, did he always do it on 14? Did I just missed that? Maybe I just missed that. It is gas pool again though. So that yeah, it is similar openers to what he's done in the past. Again, the idea being, I think, more so for him that it just means that his opponent doesn't know what he's doing beyond this. If you saw this on ladder, 9 times out of 10, it's going to lead into a lane flood. But if that's too obvious, then you gotta do something else. And it certainly does give you a good chance of denying your opponent's scouting until a Stargate comes out. It's Probe Scout, Adept Scout, Oracle Scout to get all the information you need. And what the Zergs can do to stop that is either by killing your Adepts, because you messed up, because they got Ling Speed, which is Starkiller's plan, or I guess that's kind of it, actually. If the Adept doesn't get a Scout, and no, none of those things happen, that's on the Protoss player. I guess hoping they don't build an Adept. Or I guess more accurately hoping that the Adept stays home because they're like, oh no, Ling Speed's gonna kill me. Anyways. But yeah, if you're gonna go for a denial of scouting, there's so many other things that you can do. Starkiller's on a bunch of them. 2-base Nidus Worm, 3-base Nidus Worm, 2-base Spire. Well, 3-base technically, but not all the drones. Hidden Spire is what he did, right? There are so many things that Pilipili is going to have to try and scout. And I think he will with the Stargate. That would be the downside of trying to do a Twilight Council against this guy. So I guess Starkiller's also kind of taken away the options of the Protoss player. I don't know how much you really want to build a Twilight Council against this guy who could be Ling all-inning you very early on in the game. Some people might try it, but it's like, the Stargate seems like the safest option. So yeah, I guess I haven't considered that. The opener takes control of the game even more so than taking scouting out of the equation or taking map control. It also kind of forces the Protoss to respect it. But I don't think most Protosses are really uncomfortable with Stargate openers. That is still the bread and butter of Protosses and still is so adaptive. Still has its own follow-ups. I mean, really, if Pilipili wanted to, he could go Stargate into an Archon drop follow-up. It's an old build at this point. No one seems to really be doing it anymore, but he could. And there are other things you can do. I mean, someone, who was it, had like a charge lot all in beyond, like after this? It was like Zaun? Someone that was actually like really good, but has weird builds. Or you could just play out the macro game. I mean, whatever one Pilipili wants to do. Oracle and a Phoenix, classic opener. Starkiller, just droning actually. No quick lair. No evolution chamber. Just droning. Pilipili with a robo pretty quickly. Again, going up to a total of 3 gateways instead of just 2. Starkiller has on 2 gases. And because his opponent always goes for a Stargate, Starkiller doesn't have to really worry necessarily about being all-in too early on. Again, this exists, but it's very, very rare. So he, I guess, also gets a lot of freedom to drone if he does want to play more of a macro game. We see an evolution chamber going down, so we'll see if it's real. Looks like it's real. It's kind of hidden. If he wanted to convince Pilipili he was macroing, I'm going to just put it in his face. Although, funnily enough, I do think this means he is macroing, so I'm not sure what the point of it hiding it is, but yeah, anyways. I guess the more Pilipili doesn't see any technology or any buildings, yeah, the scarier it gets. Pilipili is using his Phoenix to fly around and look for hidden spires, so I love that. He wouldn't find it yet because the lair only just finished. Overlord wouldn't be spreading creep yet, but I love that his Overlord, well, I shouldn't say his Phoenix is looking for a hidden spire, should I? He's just looking for Overlords. But either way, he either finds an Overlord building a creep to build a spire, or he finds the Overlord that would do that, and he kills it. There are actually no Overlords. Starkiller entirely pulled them back, only had the one, the usual scouting out there. And he is going to be going into Hydralisks with a 4th base on the way. This is Starkiller's macro. This is kind of unknown right now. We have not seen Starkiller go into more of a mid-game without all-inning in mind. The Oracles finally get a glimpse of that Hydralisk den. But I guess this is where hiding the Evolution Chamber kind of comes into play. Pilipili could be thinking to the previous series. Oh, he didn't hide it. Just kidding. It's seen. Okay, well. Hydra Stand plus Evolution Chamber. I gotta figure that it's Ling, Hydra, and then a Bailiness eventually comes down too. Losing both Oracles, not great. Saves one, just barely. And he also sees there's a 4th hatch. So, Pilipili, he's actually doing something. I mean, I'm so focused on what Starkiller is doing because Starkiller is the one that usually does something, but Pilipili is actually doing something. It talked about those kind of rare follow-ups to Stargates that don't happen later on. You know, those +1 Immortal the Sentry attacks or just Immortal Sentry on the 4th base. This is very different, entirely gateway-based, but 7 gateways, 8 gateways being done. It's an 8-gateway 2-base attack. It just started off with an Oracle. And Starkiller chose the wrong game to macro on. He's got the 55 drones and only is now building Hydras. He realized his opponent didn't care about losing that 3rd Nexus. He was like, oh shit, I'm being attacked. And Pilipili, I love this. No Overseer to see that. Shots will be wasted on those Init Stalkers. He's getting a little overzealous going up in the ramp like that as the Lings came back to get us around, and the two Spine Crawlers are actually doing some significant damage to him. This is turning really, really awkward. I think Pilipili should stop doing this. Maybe he's thinking his own hallucinations are real, I don't know, but he gets 19 drones. He's gonna get our third hatchery. Starkiller's actually still gonna be on 3 hatcheries. He's got a 4th base mining somewhat decently, and he was able to save, I guess, some of his Hydras and start to actually build up a decent count against, again, just pure gateway, no upgrades. If Pilipili also gets this base, then I think it's all fair. He still has the edge, but it's definitely a more awkward game trying to push up that natural like he did. He's not going to grab the base, but it looks like he might just grab all the drones, which is also pretty good. Either or puts him in a significant lead. And he's also going to grab the Hydras, and that's kind of going to be it then. Yep. Starkiller, if he managed, if the hatchery was over here and Pilipili had no idea about it, maybe he can play out this game, actually build up the Hydra count. But trying to save his hatchery, he's gonna lost his Hydras, and now he'll never have a good Hydra count, especially to the growing Adepts. There's still force fields available. I mean, Pilipili is on very basic units. Starkiller's units only get good if they're really high in number, and they are not. Adept's gonna jump on top of Hydras. That's when you know the Protoss player feels good about this game. And finally, the Spine Crawlers can actually get targeted as he actually gets up the damn ramp. The Hydras don't actually die so quickly. With +1 on their side, the Adepts are what melted here. They were also out of the range of the Guardian Shield, I believe, so a couple things going wrong for Starkiller. But this is one of those games where it actually makes a lot of sense he hasn't tapped out yet. A couple of fights going surprisingly his way, but ultimately he still loses. I guess they never went his way, they just went a little more his way than they would have usually. GG, Pilipili. With a 2-0, brings out one of those rare Stargate follow-ups I was talking about. The type that most players just assume you won't be doing. Sometimes they just really don't even bother scouting beyond, do you have a third or not? That's what they check. Do you have a third or not? You have a third, okay, we're good to go. But that was a fake third. Classic move. That was very 2012. Not just a Nexus you canceled, a Nexus you made and went, I don't care about it. Spelled commonly, right? Yeah, I did. It doesn't look like a word now, I'm looking at it. I'm confused. I mean, I'm not disagreeing that I don't watch Pilipili. I don't watch Pilipili. But I never said the Stargate was going to be used for the all-in.
Captain, we are being hosted.
Oh, hey, Maynard. Thank you for that host. Welcome, guys. It could be the last game of the series. This is a qualifying match. In the bottom right, as the teal Zerg, we got Starkiller down 0-2. And the top left, as the blue Protoss, we have Pilipili. So Pilipili so far doing an excellent job reading Starkiller, not being afraid of Starkiller. Dealt with a Nidus Worm all in the first game, like it was nothing. And in the second game, he was able to actually surprise Starkiller when Starkiller chose a game to finally, like, macro more than not. Starkiller's been going for a gas pool every opener, so that's not surprising to see this. Lightshade is a shorter map. The same rush distance as Submarine, so I mean, I'm again going to be looking more at Starkiller than Pilipili for something unique and interesting and cheesy and all-in-y. But Pilipili did just do an 8-gate all-in, so... Yeah, I would love that Starkiller actually does just a plain old Ling all-in. Just to finally really mix things up. Like, just be like, yep, I'm actually gonna do it. Probe scouts that there is, in fact, the natural coming down. Not that there's ever any, like, one base all-ins. Well, it's like a 12-pool drone pool. Third hatch comes down as well, and Pilipili's probe is actually going to be able to scout that. That's nice. That's nice. Not that 2 lanes would have really been able to stop it. Probe stops it, though, that's for sure. Sorry, Queen stops the probe. Stargate again. Now Starkiller's got to be a little more afraid of that follow-up. Now that he's been reminded that it can happen. I see a lot of links in that production tab. Yes! Yes! I said I wanted him to do it. Just do the obvious thing. Just actually do the obvious thing. Showing 6 lings right now is fine. I kind of wish he didn't show any more, though. He showed 8, now actually showed 10. I mean, if he only showed 6 and got the Adept, I think there's still a question mark. But Pilipili should know now that it is actually the all-in, and it's already messed up. It's already screwed. It's already done. I like the idea, but it got scouted. So Shade, builds. Don't misrally your Adept. And continue building, actually. Ooh, the Adept only just barely surviving is a crucial extra bit of damage. This Adept might want to get in on the action. Hello? And, well, Starkiller. I like, literally was asking for this. So now as I say, okay, that didn't work, I feel bad, but... yeah. That is the thing, is that the Adept is there to scout this. It's to scout any, you know, questionable number of lings, and as soon as it saw a little bit more than it wanted, yeah. Shield batteries, healing shield batteries. You love to see it. This Oracle being very patient about popping its energy. I really like that from Pilipili. He's finally going to do it as the shield batteries run out of energy. And Starkiller does have some more lings on the way, but he is going back into droning, trying to make the best out of an awkward scenario. He did delay Warp Gate, but that's not the biggest issue. Now double Oracle going to cross the map and say, okay, what else can be possibly happening after that? With only so many Lings now scouted, seen. Okay, it's not further Ling all in. It's only going to be drones. Maybe eventually an Evolution Chamber or Hydralisk Den, but uh-oh, drone's not quite covered by a Spore Crawler. Means that, well, 1 to 2 should die. Ah! The micro though. God! It's a little awkward. That was a little more awkward than it should have been, I guess. Loses an Oracle. Only 4 drones killed in total, but yeah, Pilipili now comfortably behind a wall on 2 bases, getting his gas, getting his warp gate. I think it's like the biggest deal, unless there really was that immediate follow-up. There was not. Actually go up to 4 gateways. So he's gotten 3 in a couple of these games. The first game, I assumed because he really was thinking I need a lot of warp in to defend against this guy. Next game, it was a precursor to an 8 gate. This game, 4 gateways. I think he is just going to warp in a bunch of adepts and go across the map. Which is fair enough. You don't have to have Resident Englave to do that. What's kind of awkward about it, though, is that his Sim City has turned ugly, and he's got an adept trapped. So she's going to stay there. She's permanently locked in. But he could just go for a bunch of adepts and go across the map. Still a classic maneuver for Protosses. And then going into double Stargate. Once again, did this in the first game. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Oh, they just shaded in there. He's not going to send his adepts across the map, at least not yet. I mean, he continues warping them in, so I expect they will. Alright, there he goes. Now he is. Now he is. Just clears up that 3rd base and then goes across. Starkiller is able to see this, but he's only on Lynx. He didn't build a Bailey nest. He does now have a Roach Swarm, but it was quite late. So only Lings are not going to trade out favorably regardless. Pilipili is going to come across the map. Maybe he's going to give Starkiller enough time to get enough roaches to hold on. But there's an even bigger problem behind these adepts. The growing Phoenix count with +1 on the way is going to be really difficult for Starkiller to hold on against. Adepts do not shade into that 3rd. Are just going to evacuate, seeing a good number of Lings, even seeing some roaches. Going to be satisfied just hanging around outside. Not totally willing to lose their lives all willy-nilly. Because if they all died, and this was a big Ling Roach all-in from Starkiller, which it seems like it is, he would not be able to hold just Phoenix. As much as his Phoenixes are growing in numbers, thanks to 3 Stargates instead of just 2, you do not want to deal with a Ling Roach all-in with just Phoenix. So, good move there from Pilipili, once again getting the scout on the all-in. And then making the right call. The Phoenixes can prematurely pick up the roaches. The Lings would be a problem, again, if the Adepts had just sacrificed their lives. But now they're not a problem. And Starkiller knows this game is not pretty. He knows. Maybe now he could try and go back on a droning and get into some Hydras before the Phoenix come over across the map. But he is not doing that. He is committing to the all-in and hoping to overwhelm his opponent. He got so many Phoenix, still have a lot of Adepts. He still have shield batteries from the earlier portion of this game. And even an Oracle is helping out there. Shield Battery the 3rd is also going to help out, and the Phoenixes are still doing a damn good job of clearing this up. And unless he can, you know, break open a wall or get into a mineral line, Starkiller is certainly not going to do enough damage. Starkiller does not want to give up, though. Pilipili even picking up weak Adepts to save them is a real pro-gamer move there. 2 probes does not make the attack work, I gotta say. Now Starkiller is going to try and get into some Hydras. But you have to get into a good number of Hydras to deal with this shit. Like, it's 12 Phoenix with +1. What are you going to need? 20 Hydras and then you can feel kind of safe? Yeah. He does have the bank for it. Looks like he hasn't quite been able to spend all of his money on the larva he currently has. Ling's still trying to find some sneaky run-by that really devastates the probe line. And hey, something's happening. There you go. Bunch of probes getting burst, and actually in total, 20 probes have gone down. But Pilipili is still at 47 workers of 53 with superior technology. Starkiller all at once, getting 16 Hydras. That is a good sign if he can actually consolidate them, but so far some of them are getting picked off. Queens, Overlords going down. These Hydras also could be easily lifted up if he wanted to. He's not going to dive back into them, it looks like. Or, oh, now he is. Now as they get dragged away from the Sport Brawler and away from any reinforcements. So it's 11 Hydras to 15 Phoenix. Overlords are now... Oh, no. He is supply blocked. He is supply blocked. Starkiller can't get out of this. His only option right now is to build Sport Brawlers. He can't build any more Hydras. Does he have enough Hydras as is? 17 against 15? Again, if they were all together, yes. He's trying to keep them against up against the Sport Brawlers, though. Which isn't a bad call. Like, that is usually the best option, but... that's not going to be enough. Phoenixes are getting awfully low in that health, so a lot of them have gone down, and finally it looks like all of their energy is gone. So Starkiller will get some relief. But Pilipili is on to bigger and better things. Got carriers on the way. Obviously going to have +1 of those interceptors, makes them very deadly, and Starkiller's 2 all-ins. That's 2 all-ins. Have not worked out here. Even getting plasma shields, investing into the +2. A single evolution chamber. It's like, I'm gonna get +1, I'm gonna help. Well, maybe. Another 2 overlords going to die. Some very desperate roaches go to the 3rd base where there is a ton of sack defense and plenty of units. I think the carriers need to show themselves. Starkiller does not want to tap out early, though. So, even as he sees the carrier, he's like, well, maybe. Maybe I can do something. He's going to get his Spire, and that's about it. Still trying to saturate all of his bases, and he's only on 3 bases. How do you get enough Corruptors for this? Ay, ay, ay. Phoenixes can't lift buildings. Somehow a drone snuck his way out here. Got a 4th hatchery. Getting more drones over there is going to be difficult to do, though. Pilipili now going to a 4th base. Maybe wait for, again, 6 carriers. Seems like a magic number. 6 carriers +2. You could also add on a Twilight Council in charge if you really wanted. Starkiller's about to make maybe like, what, 12 Corruptors? 10 Corruptors? They're a bit pricier than those mutas. More overload's gonna go down. Oh my gosh. The Hydras aren't very confident in responding to this. So more overlords, more drones. Oh, Phoenix aren't paying attention to. Freebie for Starkiller. But here's the rest of the army, so about that. Once again, gonna supply block Starkiller. It's 11 Corruptors against 6 Carriers, 3 Void Rays, and at least a couple of Void Rays. Even a Guardian Shield thrown in is gonna help out. That's nice. GG. Pilipili with the 3-0. This guy still stomps the NA region. He's still pretty damn good. And he will now be safely in DreamHack Winter, waiting for what the groups look like.